Hello my friends, finally it's spring in Stockholm and in Sweden, at least in the south. It's 14-15 degrees today. You see I'm standing here in a t-shirt, not too cold. Unfortunately I needed to find a place in the shadow. It's too windy outside, so you wouldn't hear me filming. I don't have an external microphone for that camera. So I'm under the carport here. But the weather is really great and the riding season has started. Last weekend I got my Africa Twin back from the workshop from NCCR, Northern Custom Classics and Racing in Delsko, namely Jens Gruppe, who has done some modifications, some extras for the bike. The one which is already commercially available via the NCCR homepage, I'll give you that link at the end of the video, is the reinforcement for the a little bit unstable windscreen frame, which is really nicely done. The other one, which you don't see yet because I have luggage on the bike yet already, is the luggage frame for soft luggage, which basically keeps the bags away from the hot exhaust on the right hand side and prevents them from falling inside toward the wheel on the left hand side. Jens has had some very nice ideas and I'd like to show you those. But first, let's take a look at the Moto luggage which I have got on the bike right now. So what you see here is the Moto R80 system, which I have already reviewed in a previous video last year or more than a year ago. It consists basically of a holster which you put over the bike, and then you have these dry bags inside, which simply are locked like that. You see there's a dry bag with a rolling closure here, and you put that, can't do that with one hand, oh maybe, yeah, I can do it with one hand. You fix it like that and you click it in here and there. By the way, in the beginning I thought you should fold them together until I realized that there's another strap which I put around here before, which basically should connect to those Fastex connectors so that you really strap down the bag inside, dry bag. On the back side there's another, I think it's 5 liter, is it 5 liter? 2 liter? 2 liters I guess, compartment where you can have like tools. I have some chain loop in there, an air pump, all that stuff. Unfortunately these side compartments are not waterproof, so you need to take care that if you have sensitive stuff, put it in some extra plastic bags. On the front I have mounted from another manufacturer, sorry for that, a bottle holster where I can have 2 1-liter bottles just accessible from the front. So even if I want to drink, I don't even need to climb off the bike, I can just get those bottles. On the top, you have this beaver tail, what we call beaver tail. So we have another dry bag here on the top. That one contains my sleeping bag, if you wonder, and the mat, and a little bit of small stuff. Now let's let the car pass. And that beaver tail basically has a few compartments here where you can have stuff inside. Like I have a compass here, for example, also. You fold that over. On the back you have a clear bag where I have, for example, the ferry ticket inside now, easy to access. And then you close that again here like that. Let's see if I can do that with one hand. On the back I have my tent. And by the way, as I already showed you, I made the space a little bit wider by inserting some rubber sheet here also, because otherwise the stress on this point here is quite high. That also, it's lying now on the handlebars, that also gives me some space under that thing, that's why it's so high, but it's not much weight up there, it's just a sleeping bag and light stuff, the heavy stuff is down there. Here I have another space, I have a pair of shoes and I have a rain overall stuffed under, so that can be easily used, also because I have removed the rear seat and instead have an aluminium plate there, which I will show you in a moment. On the back there is still space for my tent. So see, I like the Swedish brand Hilleberg, sits nicely there, and I'm using, by the way, rock straps. If you don't know these, ingenious idea. The one third is a rubber piece, the other is the standard nylon belt with a Fastex connector, and simply by having this rubber piece in there you always keep a nice tension on it, even if you have like a dry bag, which over time loses air and gets a little bit slack. So let me take that off and show you what's under it. So this is how the right side, of course, looks like. Jens has made this nice luggage frame, if you want to call it like that, which basically also acts as a crash bar, as a protection for the exhaust. It fits here to the footrest, passenger footrest mount. Is made of some as light as possible steel, and it attaches basically with two holes on these well-known threads which are holding the back frame. Touratech and basically all other manufacturers are using those points, those attachment points, because I think sadly Honda hasn't really constructed the bike in a way so that you're able to attach an external luggage solution. But this is the best way. You see there's also a little tubing going up here to the top box holder, if you want to call it like that, top rack. So this is also a little bit reinforced here. And you have a few possibilities for attaching straps. Also here, you could, for example, put it also there. You could even put a small roll if you have a very small tent on that, as long as it doesn't get too hot. But Jens is planning to do some heat deflector for that also. And of course, there is, if you don't know if you see that, here maybe, there's a little moose there also. It's made in Sweden, yes. The other side is even more ingenious, because what do we have here? Two fuel friends, look at that. There is actually space for different solutions on that side. Because, well, the right-hand side is filled by the exhaust, but the left-hand side is quite empty here. So there was space to create some attachment for these 1.5 liter fuel friend canisters, which you can use in different ways. You can have like 3 liters of gasoline for the motorcycle, or I will use one of those, for example, for the clean fuel I'm using for my camping stove, which should last me 1.5 liters plus what's on the bottle. I think I can almost survive a 3-week vacation with that, doing cooking 2 times a day. It's full with straps, of course, but all these strapping points are already there. Other options will be to have a tool tube inside there if you want to have additional tools. So quite a nice idea, I think. Same attachment points on the front, the passenger footrest, and on the back, again also here, attaching to the top rack holder. That whole thing comes as 2 parts. It's divided in the middle with quite a nicely done, almost puzzle-like fitting under here. Don't know if I can show you that. It's dirty, you won't see it. But it will be delivered separately, so that takes down the volume a little bit. Again, if you look from the top, let's show you that from the top. You see that it's quite slim. So with the Moto bags, for example, I think I'm not wider with the luggage than I'm with the handlebar. So I like that idea. If you have hard luggage, in most times it's much wider. Mostly if you don't use asymmetrical boxes, you need a smaller one on the right hand side because of the exhaust. Then this whole thing gets really awfully wide. So this is a prototype, I need to point out. There will be a few modifications be done, but that should be available within a few weeks commercially via the NCCR website. And the other thing which you might know already is the reinforcement for the windscreen. There are several solutions on the market. The problem is basically if you attach a GPS where it should be attached on this crossbar here, that whole thing starts to vibrate, and that is because the windscreen frame is basically a flat 2-dimensional structure. There is a welding point, there are 2 welding points somewhere about here, and if you're unlucky and have a heavy GPS and ride a lot of off-road where you have a lot of vibration, this thing will break, most likely. It has happened to a few people. So we are using these 2 screws down there. You see that under the instrument panel, there are 2 holes on the metal plate. And we are using existing mounting points here to attach that, very flexible, very adaptable, to the existing windscreen holder. What did I want to say now? I lost it. There is some adjustability in there, so you will not have big problems fitting it. The tricky part actually seems to be getting these screws inside. Fortunately for me, the prototype was already fitted. So this is already commercially available from NCCR via the web page, and I will give you the web address and the email at the end of this video. You see it's also sticking out here a little bit, and that's intended, so it's something like a protector, also like a crash bar almost, for the instrument panel. So now I have mounted the Enduristan Monsoon bags, which I'm owning for many years now. These bags, by the way, have already survived 3 months in Canada, really intensive travel, and they are still good, they're still waterproof, still hardly any wear. So they sit very nicely on the bike here, on this soft luggage rack, which NCCR has done. It supports them nicely so that they have no chance of touching the exhaust. There's still some space in between, air will go in and cool. The straps are a little bit on their limit, but still within the adjustment range. I've been putting them far back. You see that even if I had now not the aluminium plate mounted here, but the standard passenger seat, it would work for passengers who sit here. The foot pegs are available, so you could still have this combination, Enduristan Monsoon and a passenger. On the other side, on the other left-hand side, you see that it also fits nicely with the fuel fans behind there, and the whole thing is, in fact, perfectly symmetrical. In fact, it is, and you don't see this in this perspective, it is wider actually than the handlebars, but still exactly, I think, below 1 meter in width. Jens measured that, I haven't measured it. So I think Jens and me, we have found a nice solution for both the windscreen reinforcement and the luggage rack. I hope you liked the little video. Next one, maybe later this summer, when I'm back from Romania. That's the big trip which I have planned for June. And now tomorrow I'm actually going to leave for 5 days down to Germany. First long trip of the season. Wish me good weather. See you again. Bye bye.